Hey, it is Andy with the FensePost indie music and vinyl blog, and just shy of a decade ago, I went through a pretty big garage rock phase. During this time, I collected quite a few singles from the original garage rock era of the mid-60s through early 70s. One song that really stood out to me during my exploration of this era was by a band called The Balloon Farm. It was, of course, their lone hit. The Balloon Farm was a garage and psychedelic rock band from the late 60s, best known for their hit song, A Question of Temperature. Released in October of 1967, it became a Billboard Top 40 hit in February of '68. Ultimately, the song would end up in the 1984 pressing of Nuggets Volume 1, though it was notably absent from the original 1976 Nuggets compilation. In an article titled The Story of the Balloon Farm by Mike Stacks, he notes, "The lack of information about the band is somewhat puzzling given the continued popularity of their best-known song." I'll link to the PDF that Stacks composed in the description, so you can read a little bit more details on the background of the band. It's probably the most comprehensive history of the Balloon Farm available, and it's published on the URL mikeappel.com. Mike Appel being the lead singer of the Balloon Farm, so you have to hope there's a bit of credibility at that. The Balloon Farm's follow-up single to A Question of Temperature was this. This 7-inch is for the song Hurry Up Sundown, backed with Farmer Brown. Like its predecessor, the single was released on Laurie Records in the US, but unlike the more famed single, it wasn't released outside North America. According to Discogs, there are a handful of US-based variants from 1968, and a lone Canadian pressing, also from '68. Theoretically, according to some research, there may be a third single from Australia, but Discogs hasn't listed it yet. Hurry Up Sundown was a dud and didn't gain traction commercially, and Laurie dropped the band prior to them recording a full-length LP. Listening to Hurry Up Sundown, it's nowhere near as powerful and poignant as the hit song A Question of Temperature. In fact, it's almost bland by comparison. Don't get me wrong, I do like the song. It's a solid track, but the hit single seemed so out there and unlike what you'd hear or expect from a top 40 hit, even back in 1968. Hurry Up Sundown, by contrast, is more psych pop, and thus quite subtle in comparison to its predecessor. Hurry Up Sundown has a prominent bass line. I mean, bass is what you hear. The chorus is powerful and emotive and, very memorable. Listening to it a few times, you can hear why it didn't quite gain traction, but you can also tell why it might also be a bit underrated. The single's B-side, Farmer Brown, is, let's quote the Stax interview with Mike Appel once again. And Stax is going to quote Appel directly. And I quote, nice little air quotes there, "The Lovin' Spoonful's Daydream was inspiration for Farmer Brown's Old Mill Pond. It wasn't nearly as good. I was a copycat." End quote. You can hear some of the parallels to Daydream, and what Appel means by it not being nearly as good, I would much rather listen to the A-side than Farmer Brown. It almost seems like a different band entirely, and to be honest, not one I'd have in my collection. However, Hurry Up Sundown is a pretty great track, and it's a bummer that it didn't hold more clout in the late 60s. I mean, who knows what would have come from the band had it gained traction. Then again, Appel went on to different acclaim. He worked with Bruce Springsteen, for example. As of early 2023, you can find copies of this single on Discogs for, roughly $15 to $25 US. I'll let you determine if it's worth it. What do you think of the Balloon Farm? And what do you think of Hurry Up Sundown? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.